We're in the dog days of July. We're getting to the point where points are a necessity, especially for a team like Pittsburgh, as we are underway here at the Capelli Sports Stadium. And just when we were coming into this match, I know you and I were both a little bit worried about how offensive both of these teams were going to be, but I have a feeling we could see some fireworks from two teams who really need 3 points.
Well, and watching these two teams play, they've created chances, they just haven't put it in the back of the net. I know last week against Bethlehem, Corey Herzog, he's not started tonight, but he hit the right-hand upright from about 25 yards out. So it's not like either team is not creating those chances. It's just they have to find a way of beating the opposing goalkeeper.
Pittsburgh hit a number of woodworks. Romeo Parks also cracked the crossbar from about 30 yards out as well. He's starting in the middle of the park along with Victor Sorto, so we'll keep an eye on him as well. He sort of has a Yaya Toure effect to him, a center midfielder for Manchester City over in the Premier League, as Rochester with a nice early sequence, but that'll roll all the way back to Trey Mitchell, who's getting the start. And this was something we were also talking about before the broadcast, is that the goalkeeper situation has become very unstable in Pittsburgh over the past few weeks.
Unstable or just competitive is probably a better way of putting it. And that's what is such a good thing, is if you have those two goalkeepers competing for that position, it's just going to make them both better. And so I think you're going to see that Mitchell has had the best of that position this week in practice, hence he's getting the start.
Kieselbroom is the other goalkeeper that we're talking about, and he was somebody who seemed to maybe have earned that spot back at the about midway point of the season a couple of weeks ago, but now obviously Trey Mitchell getting the start, the 26-year-old out of Upland, California. First season with the Riverhounds, was with the LA Galaxy for a year, as Rochester start out with a little bit of possession as Romeo Parks dispossesses the Rhinos, and now Siobhan Walsh looking to get busy on the other end, but he is tripped up, and Rochester will maintain possession. And that's sort of what both teams are going to do. As soon as they give up the ball, they're just absolutely going to swarm you. They're not going to let you get out of a tight situation easily, and that's certainly Dave Brandt's style of play. He brought it to Messiah College when he coached there initially, as well as the U.S. Naval Academy, and he's brought that same style of play to Pittsburgh. It's paid dividends defensively, but they struggle offensively.
You're getting so many players behind the ball, it's difficult to go from that compact defensive lineup to that expansive spread offense that you need to split the opposition and create some passing lanes for yourself and get numbers in the box, which is what you need to create those chances in the attacking third.
Again, Corey Herzog not getting the start tonight for Dave Brandt. It'll be Kay Banjo as well as Chevy Walsh up top providing the offensive source. Kevin Kerr starting in the middle of the park sporting the R-band for Dave Brandt, as Pittsburgh dealing with a little bit of Rochester pressure, and Trey Mitchell will clear it the other way.
So a great example there of how Graf, number 12 for the Rhinos, gets to the strong side of the field. By that I mean the side of the field that the ball is on, and almost got on the end of it, but he was defended nicely by number 22 for the Riverhounds, Adewale.
Rochester coming off a 1-1 draw against Ottawa last weekend. Johan Graf had the goal for Rochester. They surrendered an 89th minute goal to Tucker Hume, which would eventually be a 1-1 draw against the Canadian side. Their last win coming against Harrisburg on July 8th. Johan Graf also had the goal, an 85th minute game winner. So a little bit of dramatics for this Rochester team over the past couple of weeks, as Wallfall providing some pressure. Taylor Washington clears it away. Solid outside back, as Kevin Kerr bringing it down the middle of the park for Pittsburgh. Kerr, one of the driving forces of this Pittsburgh team in the middle of the park. 28 years old, out of York, England, in his 5th season with the Riverhounds, has really become a staple in the middle for Dave Brandt. Does a great job on top of the ball. He's usually paired up with Corey Herzog, as this one goes all the way out wide. And it's Bradley Camden, the Parisian, hunting it down and keeping possession for Rochester.
Good hustle there, keep that ball in play. Easier to play the ball off of your foot and keep it in the run of play rather than giving up or having to play the ball back in from a throw-in.
Wallfall was trying to hold off Adewale. Can't do so, however, Rochester will earn themselves a throw-in. Wallfall, like Kevin Kerr, just absolutely solid in the middle of the park. The German is very strong on the ball, rarely loses it, great on set pieces. He is their set piece specialist, both outside the box as well as penalties.
Take me live, huh?
So Gomez, the right fullback for Pittsburgh, has been trying to get forwards on the attack. And Adewale, a couple of occasions, has slid into that right back position and done a nice job defensively in the absence of Gomez.
Yeah,
good work from Sofiane Tergu as Bernardo Forbes was trying to hang on to it and does well. And you mentioned Shannon Gomez. He's a great piece that they've added to this Pittsburgh team. He's on loan from NYCFC from Major League Soccer. Very pacey, likes to get forward, and he can become very active in the offensive attack for this Pittsburgh team. And like we've talked about so many times before, Matt, the outside back has become such an integral part of the game of football, and you want to be able to have somebody who's solid defensively, but as well can get forward and has a good touch.
It's such an important part of the game. And back in the day, you always heard the talk of the wingers, but they were more the forwards, but now it's the wingers are becoming those outside backs, and they're asked to do so much getting up and down the park. You look at Charlotte Independence with Joel Johnson. He's probably the best outside back in the league, and probably one of the fittest as well. And Gomez has done a great job in his time with Pittsburgh so far this season.
I think you'd get some arguments from around the United Soccer League as to Joel Johnson being the strongest, particularly from Kai Green at RGV, who I believe to be the best outside back. But you're absolutely right, Joel Johnson is phenomenal, and Charlotte has been on an absolute roll as of late. They have just propelled themselves into the top two of the Eastern Conference. And speaking of standings, Rochester right now sitting comfortably in 7th place inside of that playoff picture. However, Pittsburgh on the other side right now in 12th place, and they are really starving for points, and that's why we might see a little bit more offensive-minded Dave Brandt's side today on the road. Nothing to lose. You might as well go for it and try to get 3 points, because this is a team that hasn't won since June the 22nd.
Great believer in that winning is a habit, losing is a habit, and somehow, some way, Pittsburgh have got to find the winning habit again. It's amazing. We talked about how good defensively these teams are. The Riverhounds have given up 21 goals on the season, but the Rhinos have only given up 16 goals on the season. And with only 18 goals on the season, they have a +2 goal differential, which is, to me, is amazing. And if it wasn't for that +2, they wouldn't be in the top 8 of the playoff picture.
And a lot of that defensive prowess comes from the back in Tomas Gomez. 7 clean sheets on the year, 2016 Gold Glove winner, simply being the best goalkeeper in the United Soccer League. Gomez out of Mexico, attended Georgetown University in his 2nd season with Bob Lilly and the Rhinos. Does a spectacular job between the sticks, and I'm sure he'll get his fair share of work in tonight. Here's Stephen Okai finding Siobhan Walsh, but Okai tripped up from behind. There'll be a free kick to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's most recent result was a draw against the Bethlehem Steel, an extremely young Bethlehem team last week. A Bethlehem team that shelled out a 16, 17, and 18-year-old off the bench. They had 7 players from their academy playing in that game just because the Philadelphia Union, their affiliate in the MLS, was playing a friendly against Swansea City, and the normal players who would come down and help out Bethlehem were off playing with the first team against Swansea. So it was a great opportunity to see these extremely young players from Bethlehem get a run, and they held their own.
Well, the goalkeeper was 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and did a really tremendous job back there. And the goalkeeper is such a position of leadership on the field, even though you're playing behind everybody, but you're always communicating with your back line. And I think he did a fantastic job for such a young player.
And oddly enough, that goalkeeper's name is Tomas Gomez as well. The 16-year-old became the youngest player ever to start or appear in net for a United Soccer League team at 16 years of age. Really an incredible feat for the El Salvadoran, as he was also called up to the U17 El Salvador national team. So that's where he was for a little bit in the middle of the season. Romeo Parks trying to bring it down.
He was bit him right in the shoulder.
It'll be interesting to see how these two teams tactically line up.
Yeah.
We saw that the Rhinos do play a 4-1-4-1 lineup. At times it most looks like they're playing a 4-2-3-1. Numerically, they will have the advantage in the midfield over Pittsburgh.
There was Romeo Parks getting forward. His pass was cut out, but it's now out with Taylor Washington. Sorto, nice layoff for Parks. He goes for goal, but it's always going over the bar. But that's what Romeo Parks can bring. He really has a great eye for goal from long distance. He cracked the crossbar against Bethlehem last week. Good effort there.
A nice little play into Walsh, drops it back. Parks just a little bit stagnant. The ball was behind him as he pulled the trigger. Hence, he wasn't able to put that one on target. But he got a round of applause from Kerr on the right flank for his efforts, appreciating that attack from the Pittsburgh team.
And that's where you can see that both of these teams, while they do struggle offensively, they have the right ideas. The combination player there is there. They keep it on the deck. They do look fluid, but it's sort of when they get to the final third, the composure seems to drift a bit.
And that's part of it is having that composure in front of net, and that's the difference between the good goal scorers and those that struggle in front of net, is that just lacking that moment of composure to pick where you want to put the ball. And sometimes you pull the trigger and you're putting it right at the goalkeeper because you're not composed. But if you have that moment in front of net where everything just slows down for you and you take your time, you can beat the goalkeeper and put it in pass. Repeating myself, pass the goalkeeper. Talking about lack of composure in front of net.
Well, the goalkeeper is the goalkeeper is the goalkeeper. There's no getting around it.
I'm just going to repeat myself. My wife says I do that too much.
Well, she's not here right now. You can do it all you want, in my opinion.
90 minutes of it, you might get tired.
Here's Canardo Forbes trying to get around Washington. It'll be a handball on the outside back, and now the first dangerous set-piece opportunity for either team.
Washington got a bit unlucky there. Ball up at waist height. Couldn't really get his arm out of the way. So it bounced there. Two bites of the cherry there. One with his left arm, one with his right arm.
Gave the referee no choice. Our head referee for today's match is Jaroslav Werrell. Here comes the free kick from Forbes. It's a great ball in. Fall was trying to elevate for it, as it'll be Garzi to track it down. And Rochester will set back up, maybe keep a few of those bigger bodies in the box. This one clipped for Fall. It goes over the head of Washington, but he apparently did not touch it. However, it'll stay, or perhaps it did come off of his head, and Rochester will look to operate quickly. Here's Fall trying to get on the better side of Kerr as he's taken down, and Pittsburgh can take a deep breath. That was savvy play from Rochester to go quickly from the restart.
Riverhounds thinking they'd have a little bit more time to set up defensively. Jamal Jack standing tallest as that ball was played across and deflects it out of the defensive area for the Riverhounds. And on that free kick, it was Adewale that rose highest for the Pittsburgh team to clear that danger momentarily.
Tergu draws the foul, and Rochester can start over again. Again, Pittsburgh's last win coming against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, a 2-0 win where Siobhan Walsh and Romeo Parks were the goal scorers. Here's Canardo Forbes trying to get around Washington. That should be a good matchup to watch throughout the remaining 77 minutes or so. Stephen Okai trying to get away from Forbes. Forbes doing well on the ground and ends up winning the ball back. Here's Canardo Forbes, the captain for Rochester, driving forward. Nice little 1-2. Forbes, can he get there? Yes, squares it across, but it's right to Adewale, who has the composure to play with Kevin Kerr. There's a nasty challenge over out on the sideline. Referee says fair play. Wall through the legs of the defender. Back for Wall again. Sends it towards the back post, but it goes over the bar. And it'll be a goal kick, but that's what Wall Fall can bring. Very good at interplay in tight spaces.
That was a good interchange of passes there. And you see Graf demonstrating that he wanted that ball played in to him, but he'd run a little bit ahead of the play. And the cross didn't have any purchase on it whatsoever.
At the OPG table under the scoreboard.
Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on SiriusXM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, SiriusXM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and times.
Beautiful play in net there from Gomez. The distribution of by the goalkeepers is such an integral part of the modern game. And that ball was played back. Initially, I thought that Siobhan Walsh from Pittsburgh had the run on the ball, but didn't realize that the goalkeeper had come out beautifully into the right back position to claim the ball and then passes it calmly into the center back area. Very good distribution from Gomez.
Fall does well to bring it down. Tried to be a bit too cute there. Shannon Gomez does well. Rochester forcing Pittsburgh to go all the way back to Trey Mitchell. And they wait for those little pockets of space right along the sideline and right before midfield where they could just sort of pin you in and just sort of force you back. And what they hope to do is turn you over in your own defensive third just so they can go right to goal.
It starts with the approach play of Graf defensively. He'll take the line to force the pass to that sideline, and then you're using the sideline as an extra defender, and it's exactly what happened there as the play had to be played back by Washington.
Forbes looking to take rude one here, trying to find Graf. He just flicks it over himself, goes down. No call from the referee as Tergu is hunting it down as well. Him and Adewale exchanging pleasantries as Graf trying to shake this one off. 27-year-old out of Double Oak, Texas. Played a year at Southern Methodist University and then transferred to Bradley. Has 4 goals on the season.
Also, don't forget Sirius XM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Check USL
Trey Mitchell always looks like a rugby player who's lining up for a conversion when he's taking his goal kicks.
You always got to bring it back to rugby, don't you?
That's not always about rugby.
Kevin Kerr spinning away from Tergu.
I'm not going to bring up cricket because England got beat by South Africa.
Well, if you bring up cricket, then you lost me and probably everybody at home as well. So
that's not our intent, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, guy got shot in the back of the head, Sirens.
Rhinos are doing a pretty good job of winning that first and second ball in the midfield. There's lofted balls forwards off of the goal kicks and from the clearances from the back line of Pittsburgh.
Banjo and Walsh providing the pressure for Pittsburgh up top.
Everyone else.
Bit of a heavy touch from Ryan James. Look at the composure here from Rochester to keep the ball on the deck with the pressure. However, I spoke too soon and Pittsburgh turned them over. Now he's Kerr. Trying to find the feet of Siobhan Walsh. Soto goes out wide for Shannon Gomez.
Everyone moved out to the suburbs.
Okai. Gomez just trying to go right through Camden. And Wall trying to link up with Graf, and that's sort of been the story of this Rhinos team probably since the start of the season as this ball comes through for Walsh, going for goal. Oh, he hit it very cleanly, and it had some stink to it, just on the wrong side of the post.
Had to take that early. A little bit of a turnover there. Good run onto the ball from Walsh. Just couldn't get his hips around to get that ball on target. Credit to Joe Farrell for making that shot angle more difficult as he was trying to get back on terms defensively, but that's a wake-up call there for the back line of the Rhinos.
That's what you love to see from your striker, the ball being played in, no messing around with it, takes it on the first time, and he hit it very cleanly. It was just on the wrong side of the post, but he is a striker. He's trying to settle into the rhythm of the game, and probably around the 25-30 minute mark, that's a chance that he's probably going to put on frame.
And that's a mark also that he has the confidence, because so often, Tyler, we've seen players that don't have the confidence. They'll take that extra touch and they'll end up having their shot blocked or the opportunity just going by the wayside. So it's great to see Walsh having the heads up to know where the goal is and take that shot first time. Letting that ball just drift across his body.
Parks was looking for Kerr as Kerr gives a thumbs up for the idea, not necessarily the execution, and it'll be a Rochester throw-in. Camden Fewo and some fans here at Capelli Sports Stadium enjoying a little bit of football on a Saturday evening on July 22nd. Somebody knows that they're on TV.
Yep.
Always a great atmosphere here in Western New York. They certainly love their football. Great history between the Rhinos and the city of Rochester. Rhinos won the USL Championship in 2015 with the likes of Jose Angulo as well as, Tony Walls, as well as Christian Valesky were the key pieces of that offensive firepower in 2015, as Rochester's doing a good job in the middle of the park here. Garzi striding forward. Sends it out wide for Forbes.
Pittsburgh doing a great job of getting everybody behind the ball, closing down those passing lanes, which is why the Rhinos have had to go backwards. But then also shows us that when they win the ball, it's difficult for them to spring forwards on the offense, and both teams are suffering from that a little bit.
Groff almost got a piece of it. Wall chipping it through. Groff working on Adewale. Groff sends it across, and Mitchell able to hang on to it. Did a good job from Groff, turning nothing into something.
Mitchell was a little bit fortunate there. He was caught in two minds. He thought about going out and trying to win the ball off of the foot of Groff. Thought better of it, stood his ground at his near post. Was a little bit outside of his post, so if that ball had beaten Mitchell, he'd have been struggling to get back on terms to save any shot coming from the middle of the goal area. But in the end, Groff's pass to the middle didn't have any angle or speed on it, and it went straight into the arms of Mitchell.
Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com. Great work from Okai in the middle to screen the pass. Now here's Chevy Walsh turning upfield. But again, both teams not going to concede possession easily. This is really going to be a match that's fought in the middle third of the park. Tergu steps nicely, trying to get over to Fall, but Kevin Kerr steps well. Now here's Groff getting on the right side, Adewale, but his touch a bit too strong.
That was a great recovery there by Adewale, because Groff was in. The official on the far sideline indicating that Groff was onside as the ball was deflected forwards by Warfall from the challenge in the middle of the park. Neither team are switching the point of attack in the middle area of the pitch with any authority. Keep short-sighting themselves.
Garzi picking out Tergu. Stumbles over the ball for a moment. Here's Forbes again. Very patient from Rochester here. You can see Pittsburgh have all 11 players well inside of midfield, not allowing any sort of gaps to form in the middle of the park and allowing Rochester to find some penetration. Forbes does well to let that run through. Washington gambled. He lost the hand, sends it across. It's a good tackle from Jamal Jack, and it will be a corner, the first of the evening for either team. It will be for Rochester.
Well, finally, it was a penetrating pass into the attacking third from the Rhinos. As you said, Washington, the left fullback for Pittsburgh, gambled to try and intercept the pass and lost that gamble. And a little bit fortunate that only a corner kick was conceded.
Forbes on top of the corner. It will be an outswinger. Forbes, it's a great ball in. Rising for the header was Farrell, but it's cleared off the line. Check that, it was Ryan Felix who got up for it. But a great ball in from Canardo Forbes.
It was a beautiful header straight down into the ground. Very unfortunate that ball was deflected out.
Best opportunity of the night so far for Rochester as we are approaching the 25-minute mark.
from Rochester.
Fall finding Tergu, linking up with Graf, trying to send it out wide for Forbes. Miss-hit it, but now it's flicked on nicely. Graf on the right side, Adewale. Graf goes out wide for Forbes. Tries to clip it in, it takes a deflection. Nice skill from Okai to bring it down in some tight quarters. Now here's Parks driving forward with great long strides. Park gets it taken away momentarily. It goes out wide with Banjo. Kay Banjo drawing a lot of attention. Forced about 20 yards back, does well just to get it upfield. Siobhan Walsh trying to turn, but he's dispossessed. It'll stay with Pittsburgh, but end-to-end action as this is starting to open up a little bit.
It is end-to-end action. It was a great counter-attack there from Parks, but equally great was the defensive lineup. Ryan Felix in the end put the pressure on the ball and one possession back for the Rhinos momentarily. And he was ably supported. Beautiful triangular shape on the defense.
There's a nice turn and hit from Kay Banjo, but that's easy work for the 2016 Gold Glove winner, Tomas Gomez. The first shot on frame for Pittsburgh of the evening.
116 and 117 on the stadium concourse.
It's interesting looking at Pittsburgh. You see that they've got 3 players up in the front line there, with Parks on the right, Banjo in the middle, and Siobhan Walsh. So defensively, they're putting different sets out against the Rhinos, giving them different looks defensively. At some point, you have to make this pass the one that's difficult for Rochester to win.
Fall going for the 1-2, but that's a big return pass for Tergu. The pass had to be picture perfect. It was just a bit off. And Groff in an offside position, can't play that, and it'll go all the way back to Trey Mitchell. But again, the combination play can't be overlooked from both teams. The work in the middle of the park is really superb. It's just that final pass that they're looking for.
It is, and again, it comes back to that moment of composure in the area of the pitch that it matters in your attacking third. It's so difficult in any sport to marry the intensity that you need to be competitive with the composure that you need to be successful. See where the defensive pressure is picked up from Pittsburgh. You're not approaching up the pitch, but if you do this correctly, you can force the passing along the back line. But if you're not doing it correctly, you allow that pass into the middle area of the pitch to be made too easily. But in that case, it was a nice intercept there by Soto.
Jamal Jack looking to send it forward, looking for Romeo Parks, but Gomez off of his line. Romeo Parks applauding the effort there.
We'll be announcing the key bank save of the match after every home match. Your financial wellness starts with the right savings account.
We mentioned before, Rochester in 7th place in the Eastern Conference at the moment, looking to stay within the top 8, as the top 8 teams from both the Eastern and Western Conference will move on to their respective playoffs, either east or west of the Mississippi, as Tergu picks this ball up via wall fault, putting the brakes on as Soto takes him down. It will be a foul on Victor, and Rochester will have a set piece opportunity about 20 yards inside of midfield.
So far, Soto's the only player for that middle area of the pitch for Pittsburgh that has remained where he started. Parks has switched to the right. Okai's come into the middle, and Kerr, who was the right midfielder, is now all the way across on the far sideline on the left.
Garzi switching it over to Camden. It's a little behind him, so it disrupts the flow for a moment. And this is where it's tough to penetrate Pittsburgh. All 11 players well inside of midfield. Forbes trying to bend it around the defense. He does win a corner, and it'll allow the likes of Farrell and Felix to get forward, as well as Wallfall.
That's where you have to play with rhythm, though. If you take that extra touch and destroy the rhythm of your play, it allows the defenders to get back on terms and negates any run that your attacking players may have made. So you have to play 1 or 2 touch ball so you can make best use of those decisive runs that are being made up top.
It's another great ball in from Forbes. Jamal Jack gets there first, elevated nicely. But again, it goes all the way back to Camden. Now along the left wing for Tergu. Frenchman clipping it towards the back post. Fall just trying to help it along. And it was Farrell who was still up, and it'll be another corner for Rochester. And going back to your point, Matt, there are players who are open on the field, but sometimes the players making the pass can be a little bit too anxious to get it there. Take your time and make sure it leads the player so that they can take an encouraging touch forward and continue the rhythm, as Forbes has another opportunity here. This time it's at the near post, doesn't get past the first defender. Walsh gets there first, Garzi sends it back in, but that's over and a little bit wide of the frame, and it'll be a goal kick for Mitchell.
A call that we had with Coach Lilly in the week. He made that exact comment about the Rochester Rhinos, as it felt that his team were too anxious in that attacking third. And at times they would see the initial run and try and force the issue into that initial run. So if his team could just have a little bit more composure, the decisive ball could be played to that second or third run that is being made and create a better opportunity in front of net. And I think that we're seeing that is endemic for both teams this evening so far.
Over a half an hour played here at the Capelli Sports Stadium between the Riverhounds and the Rhinos. Nothing to separate these two stellar defensive squads just yet. A couple of half opportunities for both teams. Probably the best chance came off a corner when Conardo Forbes found Ryan Felix, but his header was cleared off the line. Now Groff trying to get on the end of it. Gomez does well defensively. And Pittsburgh will look to counter the other way. Kerr looking for Walsh. Throws Felix off for a moment. Banjo with a beautiful turn. Kay Banjo going for goal. Asking for a handball, but no call from the referee. As Groff helps it along, and he takes a nasty hit from Adewale, and Groff is absolutely hot, asking for Werrell to make a call. And Adewale is shown the mustard here in the 33rd minute on a brutal tackle to Johan Groff.
Well, adrenaline healed his ankle really quickly because Groff looked like he was going to stay down for a while. Definitely a foul. Coming in the back of Groff. So absolutely the right call there. Adewale, foot up. And Groff comes up and says, look, I'm not the ball, I'm the player here. Quit kicking me. That's the second or third time you've done that. And the referee agrees and shows the yellow card to Adewale.
Dover trying to get forward with the help of Conardo Forbes. Ryan James. Romeo Parks so strong in the middle of the park. And I guess that yellow card was issued to Shannon Gomez and not Adewale. And that's a little bit curious considering Adewale was the one who made the challenge. Perhaps Gomez got it for some form of dissent, or maybe it's misidentification altogether.
I mean, the only way that Gomez would be in the book is because he said something that to the official that he shouldn't have said. But certainly it was Adewale who was guilty of the foul.
And now Romeo Parks takes a shot off the head, and that immediately forces the referee to stop the play and check on the injured players. We'll take another look at it, and that's clearly Adewale. Gomez was about 10 or 15 yards behind the play, and there you see Gomez coming in afterwards.
It looks like the yellow was shown to Adewale. I think it's just misidentification, but Gomez is lucky he didn't talk himself into the book as well there. Rushing in like that.
I have no idea where he is. And it's all runs like that.
Romeo Parks receiving attention from the Pittsburgh physio here.
I got him. Please got him.
Parks, 26-year-old out of St. Mary, Jamaica. Signed with Pittsburgh on May 5th and has really been a solid piece in the middle of the park. No pun intended. Romeo Parks has just been great for Dave Brandt and really lends to the style of play that he likes to play, as we hope that he'll be able to continue. And Kay Banjo wasn't exactly happy that the play was stopped because they had a 3-on-3 on the other end.
play had to be stopped because it looked like it was a head injury that Parks was suffering from, so the referee had no choice but to call the play dead, and the drop ball, uncontested as it is in the modern game, goes all the way back to Mitchell.
Would you rather the drop ball be contested?
Hurts the shins.
Is there a 36 blue?
I like it because
It's not your shins.
No, but I mean, I've had my shins kicked in a drop ball. It's no fun whatsoever.
38.
I mean, just the sportsmanship that's involved. I think it's a good decision that teams make, and you know, you can end up injured from kicking each other, trying to get the ball from the 50-50.
Here's Kerr with a great ball in, and Banjo's header goes over the bar, but it was a teasing ball from the Englishman, Kevin Kerr. Banjo just couldn't get it right.
Kerr switched back to the right flank, and this is a beautiful service with the right boot. Beautiful bend on that, and Banjo just tried to do too much with it, Tyler. Flick of the head, just put the ball wide. If he'd have been a little bit more patient, a little bit, as we've been saying all game, composed, put that one on frame, I think that the goalkeeper, Gomez, would have been struggling.
Well, the ball had so much pace on it that all it needed was a little bit of redirection, but he was obviously trying to place it in to the upper 90. Groff with a nice touch. However, his pass is intercepted by Parks. Kerr just looping it forward, hoping for Banjo to run onto it, which he's doing nicely, but talk about composure from number 15, Joe Farrell. As Corey Herzog gets his first touch of the day from the bench. Herzog, the leading goal scorer for this Pittsburgh team, hasn't been in great form as of late. Hasn't scored a goal in over a month. His last goal coming in a game against Orlando City B, in which they lost 2-1. So perhaps Dave Brandt thinking that his leading goal scorer and his leader up front doesn't necessarily deserve the start. I mean, if you're your striker, if you're the main number 9 up top, you need to be producing goals, and he hasn't been.
You have to say that a statement could be being made that he needs to produce to get his starting line position back. But when your leading goal scorer with 6 goals hasn't scored in a month, that tells you what you need to know about the form of the Riverhounds.
Garzi did well to track back, trying to fend off Chevy Walsh, who is being an absolute pest back there. Garzi playing the ball on the ground. Is it going to be a handball on Garzi? Yes, it will. So this is a very dangerous set-piece opportunity, as a number of Riverhound players are more than capable of hitting the frame. I have to imagine it's going to be Romeo Parks, as Garzi puts his team in a tough spot.
Well, this all came from the want to and desire of Walsh. And sometimes when your team's not doing what they should be doing, it comes down to pure effort. And it's Walsh that his effort has created this great opportunity for his team. They're excited by the free kick opportunity.
Oh, they might not be excited if it goes in the back of the net from Romeo Parks here. Romeo Parks stepping up. Oh, it's hit with a lot of pace. It takes a deflection, but it's off of a Pittsburgh player, and it'll be a goal kick.
It was his effort that won the free kick for Pittsburgh, but in the end it was the noggins of Siobhan Walsh that put it out for the goal kick that Gomez is going to take. Put players in the wall to make it more difficult visually for the goalkeeper, but sometimes they also get in your own way.
Gomez does well to just hit it off at Tergu. Definitely didn't hit him in a friendly spot, as he has to shake that off for a moment.
I'd still be down if it hit me.
That's why you're in here with me.
Exactly.
So both teams still struggling to find their offensive rhythm here. And it's not only been a story for these 39.5 minutes, but the story for these two squads throughout the entire first half of the USL season. As we are approaching the halftime whistle, and neither team yet to really put their stamp on this game, as Garzi commits another foul and yet again puts his team in a very tough spot and it's another chance for Romeo Parks, and that's a player who just sort of needs to get calibrated if he's going to put it on frame.
There's absolutely no question that this is a foul. Ghazi never on terms, never goal side of Kerr as he goes in for the challenge. And you're right, Parks, his big right foot, get calibrated, and this will be another great opportunity for Pittsburgh.
Kerr and Parks on top of it, maybe a bit too far out to put it on frame. It's Parks stepping up, running over it. Now Kerr with a great ball in towards the back post. It's sent towards the other back post, but it's over the bar, as it looked like it might have been offside, and yes, it was.
There's Jamal Jack that rose up at the far post to head that ball goalward. Again, another opportunity gone begging for Pittsburgh as the header went over the crossbar, but that deception run by Parks, it just threw the timing of the runners off, and hence Jack was offside when the ball was actually played into the penalty area. Neither goalkeeper, we've seen some opportunities for both teams, but neither goalkeeper has been really tested.
Washington taking about 4 touches back towards his own goal and then surrenders a throw-in to this Rochester team who is looking to maybe put one up on the board before halftime. Fall just trying to send it across, back out for Forbes. He clips it in. Jamal Jack heading it away momentarily. Forbes bringing it down. Shannon Gomez so shifty. Camden thought he had him dead to rights, but Gomez able to wiggle his way out of trouble.
That was a good step there from Camden to make life difficult for the right fullback for Pittsburgh. At this moment in time, I think both teams will be satisfied if they can just get to the locker room with the score as is.
Well, these are two teams who are certainly not unfamiliar with draws. 13 draws between the two of them. 7 for Rochester, 6 for Pittsburgh. Good ball into space for Tergu. Adewale comes over and helps out nicely. Now Parks trying to cut it between Garzi and Dover. Fans, the USL is one of the most prominent second division professional leagues in the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and information by visiting uslsoccer.com and follow them on Twitter at USL. Fall getting called for the foul there.
I'm Michael Mayer, bringing life and beauty to your smile. Dr. Mayer offers premier general dentistry to patients of all ages and is the official dentist of your rhinos. Learn more at mayerdental.com.
That arbitrary 2 minutes.
Getting word now that we're going to have 2 minutes of stoppage time added on here,
But no one's
as this one's sent forward, but out of the reach of Fall.
Better communication between the goalkeeper and Jack there would have been better, I think.
We had 3 minutes, they went about 7 minutes.
Mitchell would have been better positioned to play that, facing the play. Jamal Jack running back towards his own goal.
Now here's Parks on the other end, shows a bit too much there to Felix. Banjo trying to squeeze his way through. James takes a stumble momentarily, somehow still has the ball at his feet. Now finally dispossessed. Washington. Nice little 1-2 with Parks. Washington off to the races. Big touch towards the byline. Washington going for goal, but Gomez able to hang on to it. And a number of Riverhounds in the area saying, why didn't you pass it to me?
The first time in the match, Pittsburgh attacked down the left flank. All it needed was a pullback. You see players, Walsh, Banjo, all queuing up for that the box pass that never came. The left fullback, Washington, a great incisive run into the attacking third, and his eyes just got too big for his belly and shot the ball, and Gomez is not going to be beaten to his near post from that angle.
Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on SiriusXM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, SiriusXM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and times. As Graf came in from an offside position.
Can't believe that he was called for being offside, but certainly that was the right call.
Integrated chiropractic therapy and massage therapy is proud to be the official massage providers of your Rhinos.
Well, certainly what we expected out of both of these teams. Stingy work in the middle of the park, great defensive shape and composure. But on the other side of that, the lack of composure in the offensive third has been very apparent, as neither team has really been able to turn a half chance into a full chance, as we just saw Taylor Washington not exactly handle his last chance particularly well. But as we move forward, hopefully both teams and both coaches will sit down and try to figure out what maybe they can do better on the offensive end. Starting with Rochester, Matt, is there anything in particular that you've seen?
Well, again, it's getting players forwards on the attack. You've got to support Graf. You can't just leave them on an island. And because they're so good, and really this is something that we said for both teams, they're both very good at getting players behind the ball and compacting on defense. Somehow they've got to find a way to get spread out and forwards together as a unit on offense. And part of that is they're taking too many touches on the ball, and it takes away any run that has been made by your attacking players. You see there, ball played out, 2 or 3 touches before the cross comes. Try a touch and then a cross into the near post area, and perhaps something good will come of it.
Jairus Lauero blows his whistle, and that's going to do it for the first half here from Capelli Sports Stadium. Two teams who struggle offensively, struggling against each other. It's 0-0 here in Western New York between.
With more tempo, too much time has been taken on the ball, too many touches, and that just negates any run that your attacking player makes. And we've seen it a number of times from both squads. Their outside backs have gone forwards. The pass has not been made to those outside backs. The player in the middle has looked to make the pass, but then takes that extra touch, allows the opposing outside back to come up defensively to take away the option, and then you have to go back down the middle of the pitch. And that makes it easier defensively because everything is then condensed. You've got to spread it out wide and do so more quickly.
45 minutes to go here in Capelli Sports Stadium. Tyler Terrens along with Matt Stubbington, and we'll try to settle a winner between these two squads, but something tells me deep inside of my guts that we might have a draw at the end of this one. I hope, for your sake at home, that I am wrong. I hope to see a goal, but with the way that these two teams are playing and have been playing in their recent matches, it just seems that way. Certainly a couple of half chances in the first half for either team, as Ryan Felix probably had the best chance off a corner kick from Kennardo Forbes, and on the other side, for Pittsburgh, it was a ball in from Kevin Kerr that Kay Banjo just could not get right with his head, tried to do a bit too much with it, and that is where we stand at the moment heading into the final 45 minutes. Again, Rochester in 7th place in the Eastern Conference, Pittsburgh in 12th, just to give you an idea of what the playoff situation looks like. 8 teams from the Eastern Conference, 8 teams from the Western Conference, so if the season were to end today on July 22nd, Rochester would be in, Pittsburgh would be on the outside looking in. Here's Johan Graf lining it up. He goes for goal. Oh, and it's just wide of the far post. He was going for that patented curler. It was just out of the reach of Trey Mitchell and just out of the reach of the far post as well.
Good early opportunity for Graf. You see him looking up, measuring the shot. Just didn't get his right foot wrapped around the ball enough to put enough spin on the ball. You see there was no right to left spin as the ball was going towards Trey Mitchell's net. But the Pittsburgh goalkeeper did not know that it was going past his left hand upright and had to spread out as big as he could to make sure it went wide of his goal.
Graf again, offside, or coming from an offside position rather, and maybe the two things that both of these teams can do better is sort of what the other is doing well. Rochester on one hand have been trying to be creative in the offensive third, and haven't necessarily done well. And then Pittsburgh on the other end have tried their luck from range and have been quick to pull the trigger, but haven't been as creative. The best thing that we saw was Kevin Kerr playing that ball into Kay Banjo. So maybe if they take a note out of the other team's book, they might have a little bit more success. But I'm no expert. You are.
I agree with you. Variety is a spice of life, and if you keep doing the same thing, it makes it very easy for the other team, and they become settled defensively. You have to change it up, give a different look to your opposition, and make it difficult. And you see there again, Washington, too many touches on the ball, allows the defense to come back, and he ends up getting double teamed and loses possession. A little fortunate that a foul was committed and gets it back in that manner for Pittsburgh, but take the touch down the line, attack the attacking third.
Walsh and Banjo with a nice little 1-2. Banjo's first touch lets him down, and Dover was able to come away with it. Forbes has to chase that one down, but can't do so as it'll stay in Rochester territory. Washington electing to play early. Siobhan Walsh trying to hold off Joe Farrell.
Well, certainly if you're Pittsburgh, you're on the outside looking in. There's no point in playing safe. 1 point out of these games that you're playing, it doesn't help you. You've got to get the full 3.
Garzi trying to play Forbes, but Rochester a little out of sync here to start the second half. Parks.
So you had your right side open on the right back position. Gomez making that run, but the ball comes back to the middle of the pitch and possession is lost.
Forbes with a couple of neat moves, but Victor Soto not amused by any sort of the imagination. Kerr takes a little knock over on the far end from Jordan Dover. Shannon Gomez trying to hold off 2 Rhinos, and Rochester comes away with the ball.
That's the one thing that the Rhinos do so well, is that double team, and as you mentioned in the first half, how they pin their opposition against the sideline.
It's a good ball in from Fall as Jamal Jack and Ryan James collide right outside of the 18, and Jack goes down hard as it looks like he got the worst end of that challenge. Ryan James with some good gamesmanship going over and making sure Jack is okay as he's still down on the ground. We'll take another look at it.
Certainly a hard challenge there. He went to hold his left thigh. Certainly a lot of the old spin move as he goes to the turf. I know it didn't feel good, but to the casual soccer fan, that's the one that really gets their goat, is when the player goes down and makes a meal of it and then gets right back up again.
This one laid off for Parks. Trying to hold it up for Pittsburgh.
Why is it called the pitch? Pitch.
Pittsburgh making camp in Rochester's defensive third. Comes out wide for Taylor Washington.
Gosh, you're getting...
Here's Kerr. Trying to send it over the top, but it's deflected by Wallfall. And my broadcast partner, Matt Stubbington, you don't look all too amused with the way that Pittsburgh handled that attack.
Well, they had nice possession and some good rhythm to it, but there was nothing decisive into the attacking third. Ball comes out to the left fullback, Washington, who's in great position to make the cross, but he had nobody to cross the ball to. Somebody has to make the run into the box. There's no industry going into the attacking third. Pittsburgh did pretty well to get that ball out of their defensive half. I know they lost possession on the halfway line for the throw-in. There's a great opportunity for the fans to watch the way that these Rhino players approach the ball defensively when it gets into their attacking half.
Here's Graf. He's away from Adewale. Graf putting the brakes on. Goes all the way back, now out wide again. The service comes in, it's a decent one. Dover was trying to elevate for the header. And Washington will clear it away, but that's the sort of decisiveness and swift play that you like to see from Rochester in the attacking third. Now here's Parks sprinting away from Dover. Parks, it's a good ball in for Banjo. It's going to fall to Parks. Mitchell, or rather Gomez, is way off of his line. Here's Washington getting forward once more. Whips in a good ball. Banjo trying to bring it down. Forbes doing well to hold off Okai, looking for an option, has to go negative. And Rochester surrender possession right back. And I would like to say that this is right where we left off in the first half, but this looks a little bit more sloppy than it was in the first 45 minutes.
That's a little bit more sloppy, but I think that's going to open the game up and hopefully give us some more opportunities in the attacking third for both teams.
This is a great 1-2. Banjo in on goal, and Gomez makes the save. Not sure Banjo could have taken one more touch or go for a goal on the first like he did, but either way, Gomez with a good save. And it's another good opportunity for Pittsburgh that goes by the wayside.
Positioning of the goalkeeper was excellent. Lovely ball through, little combination play between Banjo and his teammate, and tries to beat Gomez to the near post. Gomez was having none of it, but a nice attack for Pittsburgh.
Great hustle from Jamal Jack.
It was great work from Jamal Jack. Ends up kicking it out for a corner kick anyway, but it's great to see a team having that sort of hustle. It seems silly, but sometimes moments like that can spark your team. If you're seeing a teammate work that hard for you, you want to work that hard for them.
It's another corner for Rochester. Corona forwards on top of it again, another outswinger. Stephen Okai gets there first, back out for Forbes. Trying to work on Shannon Gomez, 20-year-old loan from NYCFC. Gomez cross gets there. It falls for James. He's got some room, puts on the brakes. Working on Kerr. James going for the curler, takes a deflection, and it's knotted out for the moment. Tergu gets a foot to it. Fall just trying to hold off Soto. This is a good ball in. Nobody on the back post, however. Gomez with a little bit of a scissor kick to clear it out. Farrell. Fall, bringing it down. Still Rochester. Camden was trying to squeeze his way through, and now with numbers committed forward, Rochester could be exposed. But that's good work from Felix as he denied the pass. I was looking to go down the sideline, but a tizzy of action in Pittsburgh end, but it still comes to relatively nothing. And now it looks like a substitution is going to be made by Bob Lilly, as it's going to be Bukimia coming in, and he is going to replace Johan Graf, whose day is done just after about 56 minutes. So Bukimia will get an opportunity here. And Johan Graf, our featured player's day is done. Not sure whether or not Bob Lilly was displeased with the output, possibly an injury, or maybe just wanted to give Bukimia a run, saw that maybe he might offer something that Graf could not.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see as far as whether he offers something that Graf could not. But in that lone forward role, the player is asked to do so much, so maybe a little bit of fatigue on the part of Graf, but he also had a number of heavy challenges that he fell under in that first half. So again, maybe feeling the left ankle a little bit from that knock from Adewale that ended up to the yellow card to the Pittsburgh central defender.
Well, as much as it is about results, you obviously need to have your best players available week in and week out, and making sure that players are fit and healthy is as much as the battle is trying to get 3 points out on the field. So fair play to Bob Lilly, recognizing that Graf has had a tough match against a very stingy and hard tackling Pittsburgh team. And his day is over before an hour, but that might be the best thing for Graf, who isn't necessarily old, but on the older side compared to some of the other players in the USL, and gets a well-deserved rest here.
Any moment that you can get a little bit of a break is beneficial to the player. Now, Graf would like to play the full 90, but if his team can find a way to end up in the wing column, he'll be happy with his contribution to their efforts.
Bukimi will slide into that lone forward role up top as the number 9.
You see his positioning there. His job is to prevent that ball being played backwards to either the goalkeeper or the central defenders. There was a big switch of play there that negated that cross ball that he's trying to prevent as well. So they weren't able to pin Pittsburgh against the sideline as we've seen, but his positioning there is a great illustration of what the Rhinos are trying to do every time on the defensive end. It's interesting to compare the defensive scheme for both teams. You see the pressure from the forwards as far as the Rhinos are concerned with the angle of their runs to force the play into certain areas. Whereas Pittsburgh, they'll drop off defensively, set up, and then try and force the issue, and the initial pass comes into their defensive line.
Good move here from Pittsburgh as Walsh was trying to squeeze it through. But Conrado Forbes does extremely well to dispossess him. Bukimi getting his first touch.
Last week was at the 83rd minute. The long ball.
Ryan James. Fall holding it up, just trying to flick it on for a teammate. Maybe a bit too cute. Referee says play on as he sees an advantage here for Rochester.
He broke his toe. Broke his toe. Change his toe.
Banjo getting stuck in. Looking for an outlet the other way. It's a good ball in for Walsh. He's got some space here, has to wait for it to come down. Chevy Walsh back for Parks, who's in space. He's not afraid to let it rip. Thought about it for a moment. Parks just trying to clip it through, but Felix gets ahead to it. Back out for Romeo Parks. Banjo. Parks again, bending it in. It's a good idea. Walsh maybe trying to get head referee Jaroslaw Werrell's attention, but no call from the man in the middle.
Looked like he was tired and was going to lay down for a nap the way he went down under that.
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, thinking that he was trying to draw a foul, but could very well be right. A lot of running up top in this sort of system for Dave Brandt.
How about drawing a foul? He looked like he was posing for a picture of one.
You are absolutely brutal. Goes out wide for Shannon Gomez, the outside back getting involved. Bent in. Felix gets there first.
Great job defensively from Gomez coming back to win the ball.
Here's Parks driving forward. Nobody's stepping just yet. Parks looking for Walsh. He'll be able to bring it down. But he's met by Jordan Dover. Last touch off of Walsh, and it'll be a goal kick for Rochester. It's looked a bit more encouraging for Pittsburgh over the past 10 minutes.
Just playing with a little bit more urgency, trying to get those balls play quickly into their attacking half, also trying to create some width. You've seen Gomez on the right flank, Washington on the left. On the right also Kerr has been involved on the overlap. Also Soto has been hanging out as well, so if the overlap doesn't work, Gomez is able to then pass the ball back to Soto, who's trying to clip that ball in on the cross from the beginning of their attacking third.
So Corey Herzog will come off of the bench and replace Kay Banjo, the leading scorer for the Riverhounds, onto the scene here a little after an hour of play. And now it's a matter of whether Corey can earn his stripes here, as we're not exactly sure why he wasn't in the starting 11, but not having scored a goal in over a month, you have to imagine that Dave Brandt might be a little bit frustrated with his lack of production, but this is a great opportunity in a 0-0 game on the road to seize that opportunity.
It absolutely is. Well, maybe it was a statement, hey, you got to make sure that you produce to be in the starting lineup. But then also, it could also be a case of man management as well, as far as giving him a little bit of rest, take some minutes out of his legs.
Here's Rochester on the other end. Bukimia looking for Forbes. It's cleared out by Jamal Jack. Still with Rochester. Back for Forbes again. However, it will be offside as the near side referee has his flag up. And there was another substitution that I'm sure you all saw. Marshall Hollingsworth coming on and replacing Taylor Washington. So a solid shift from number 4. And now number 25 gets a run at it. But Hollingsworth and Kerr are both normal starters for Dave Brandt. So this is a nice luxury to be able to have a couple of guys who maybe aren't in your starting lineup week in and week out to come on, keep the game at a 0-0 draw until the 65th minute. And now you give some of your starters like a Herzog, like a Hollingsworth, an opportunity to go get all 3 points.
It is. Again, it may be man management. It might be the statement of, hey, your performance last week wasn't good enough. And also it's an acknowledgement to other players that they can get the nod at any time as well. So it's a good morale booster as far as the entire squad is concerned. But this is a great opportunity for Herzog, Hollingsworth and the like to make the statement of we do belong in the starting lineup all the time and we can get the job done and find a way to win games.
Camden. Both of these teams coming off draws in the previous games. Pittsburgh to Bethlehem 1-1 last weekend, and then Rochester surrendering a goal in the 89th minute to Ottawa. Forbes, a great ball in for Dover, but that's an awesome recovery run from Adewale, who claims that it should be a goal kick. However, it will be a corner for Rochester.
That is fantastic play from Adewale to get back defensively. A beautiful ball clipped in. Probably the most decisive pass we've seen from the Rhinos into their attacking third. And Adewale was just able to beat Dover to the ball.
Well, set pieces are of a premium between these two sides, as that header was a great chance, but it looked like there might have been a push-off beforehand. But it was Joe Farrell who was in on the mix. Farrell and Felix more than capable of getting forward and scoring a goal from a set piece opportunity like a corner or a free kick.
I'd be a little bit concerned on these set pieces if I was Pittsburgh. The Riverhounds defensively have allowed too many opportunities for the Rhinos, and it seems to be the Rochester team that invariably finds a way to head the ball off of those set pieces. Of course, it might be that they keep fouling. That's why the referee blowing the whistle for the free kick, but hence the opportunities that they've been getting. Keep hearing the fans calling out to try to pick the ball up every time his team passes it to him.
Well, I hope they don't listen to him. I mean, that wouldn't be necessarily legal.
Well, would create a goal-scoring opportunity inside the box.
Forbes with a poor touch that actually ends up falling to Parks. Now it's for Chevy Walsh. Walsh back for Parks. Tries to send it across. It's blocked in front. And Rochester able to clear the danger momentarily.
Again, they get so many players behind the ball so quickly.
How about this ball in from Kerr that forces Gomez off of his line? And it'll be a corner for Pittsburgh. That is a superb ball in from Kevin Kerr.
Brilliant ball in, just dropped at the foot of the goalkeeper. Look at this work here from Walsh. Keep things alive, plays the ball back to Park, just didn't quite get the rub of the green. And then the ball comes back out to Kerr. He plays it in early. And Gomez had to make a play on it. It was a difficult dropping ball. Herzog was lurking at the back post.
Jaroslaw Werrell having a conversation with Tomas Gomez, as well as Victor Soto. And it looks like Stephen Okai as well. So everybody is jousting for position along the goal line. Corner comes in from Parks. It's tailing towards the outside of the penalty area. It's for Gomez. He goes all the way back out for Parks, who just took the corner. Good ball in with his left foot. Herzog trying to help it along. A little bit of miscue there.
Both teams are using the outswinger on the corner kicks, and the delivery really hasn't been all that decisive.
Well, the lone lefty for Pittsburgh is off the field. It was Taylor Washington. And then the other side for Rochester. I don't believe they have any lefties on the field who they would like to take corners.
Okay. Hey.
But Canardo Forbes more than capable of putting in a quality ball from the outswinging position, as we've already seen a number of times. But like you mentioned earlier, Matt, Pittsburgh have to be a little bit wary of their marking, as there's been a few free headers. Now here's Canardo Forbes getting free, trying to chop it into the middle of the field. It's a great play from Forbes, but it's right into the chest of Trey Mitchell. Spectacular individual play from Forbes, but he couldn't put the finishing touches on it.
Good touch around Hollingsworth, fighting for position. Didn't get any purchase on the shot, and Mitchell's very, very fortunate there. I think it was Jamal Jack that deflected that ball ever so slightly, but not enough to take it out of the path of Mitchell, who was well positioned for the save.
Parks with a neat touch, but going to ground and winning it nicely is Sofian Tergu. Crowd starting to get into a little bit here, as we have a little bit more than 20 minutes remaining in this Eastern Conference matchup between two defensive juggernauts. It's in for Walsh, takes a touch around the defender. Was he taken down? No. Jaroslaw Werrell says play on. Siobhan Walsh and the Riverhounds can't believe it, but it looked like solid defending from Jordan Dover.
I thought Dover had position there. As Walsh was trying to control the ball, I think he just lost his footing. I think that's a good no call there by the center ref. Let play continue.
Both teams looking for a breakthrough, looking to avoid two straight draws. As Corey Herzog is offside, we'll take another look at that last opportunity.
It's a great ball there, and you see as Walsh goes to make the play on the ball, just loses his footing. Again, looking for the foul rather than the ball, I think. But certainly his foot looked to slip on the surface a little bit.
823-7741. And he saves the beer. Please head over to the raffle table to claim your prize.
Apparently a fan up there made a great play, catching the soccer ball in one motion and saving his adult beverage. Great play. Although I would say it's tougher to do that with a baseball than a soccer ball. Soccer ball is much easier to catch than a baseball is, but either way, you have to appreciate the athleticism in the stand when you see it.
Well, the importance is saving your drink as well as saving the ball. If you're able to do both, then.
But at that point, I would say forget the ball, because you have to return the soccer ball to the field of play. With baseball, you can keep it, so catching the baseball is important, but we digress. Great ball in for Tergu. However, Adewale, as he has been all game in superb defensive position. Kerr hunting down the ball. Rochester doing well to keep it. Tergu again, looking for a streaking Bukimia, but Jamal Jack shields him off, and Mitchell coming off his line and does well.
Both Jack and Adewole have done a very good job in their center back position, getting goal side and keeping goal side of those attacking runs.
Bukimia trying to get on the right side of Gomez. Or rather, it's Victor Soto who commits the foul.
Oh, come on.
A yellow card caution has been issued to Pittsburgh's number 5.
Soto does get shown the mustard here in the 74th as Bukimia goes down and holding that right shoulder as he might have come down on that funny.
That was a very clumsy challenge there by Victor Soto. Quite rightly gets the yellow card. Good use of the body by Bukimia. And Soto just never got back on terms, back to the play, and you could see that Bukimia did land heavily on that right shoulder.
I got him, he's on 3 now.
Bukimia, the substitute, came on for Johan Graf right around the 57-minute mark. A little bit more than 17 minutes remaining here from Capelli Sports Stadium.
Yeah, it's just hard to see numbers.
And they're hoping for some late magic here from their Rochester Rhinos, who are looking to keep pace in the Eastern Conference playoff race. Right now sitting in 7th, looking to get back to where they fell last year in the conference semifinals to the New York Red Bulls 2 in penalty kicks. They were able to come back and score 2 goals in the second period of extra time to level things, but eventually falling in penalty kicks, who would eventually become the USL Cup champions, New York Red Bulls 2. Brandon Allen as long as Bezecourt, as this one is sent towards the back post. Walsh trying to bring it down, but Ryan James makes sure of it. However, it will be a throw-in for Pittsburgh deep in Rochester territory.
He missed it by 1 number.
Hollingsworth. It's a good ball in for Herzog as Farrell gets there first. Ryan James driving down the left-hand side, or rather the right-hand side.
Oh, yeah, by the gallon. By the gallon. Yeah.
Again, both teams, they keep having players open on the flank. The outside backs are trying to get forwards. So often the pass is looked at and then looked off, and the play goes back to the middle of the pitch.
They don't sell it down there, right? But not the. You don't have like a Tim
Bukimia.
Yeah.
Forbes finding Wall Fall in a lot of space. Fall looking for Bukimia. Adewale stepping and doing well for Pittsburgh, but it seems like Wall Fall probably should have received that ball about 2 or 3 minutes earlier than he initially had. Fall again. Goes out wide for Tergu. The Frenchman working on Gomez. With some nifty moves, the ball takes a deflection, but Mitchell able to scoop it up before it goes out of bounds, as he's looking to operate quickly the other end. It's great distribution as Herzog being held up by Farrell. Herzog going all the way back, but the ball goes all the way back to Tomas Gomez.
Herzog was looking to the official there for some help. Should have had a call. Certainly there was a handful of Herzog's shirt being grabbed by Farrell. Certainly had a case to Corey Herzog, the number 11 for Pittsburgh.
Bukimia going out wide for Garzi. Shannon Gomez puts in a strong challenge, and Garzi mistimed going into the ball and takes a rough shot there. Very clean tackle by Gomez, just unfortunate the way that Garzi landed. As we are going to have a substitution. And it's going to be for Rochester, as it appears to be Jalen Brown checking in and taking off Wall-Fall.
This substitution for your Rhinos, entering match number 22, Jalen Brown. Replacing number 17, Wall-Fall.
So Bob Lilly will have one more substitution for the remaining 13 minutes or so, but Wall-Fall, the Germans' day is done in the middle of the park, put in a very solid 77 minutes.
I was impressed by Fall. Didn't really get forwards and threaten the goal, but obviously he's a very technical player, savvy in possession. Like to see him, and I've been saying it, obviously both teams, switch the point of attack, get the ball out to the flanks a little bit more quickly. But I'm a little surprised that he's been subbed out, because he can make such a difference on the pitch.
Still talking to the coach on the side.
Poor touch there from Garzi, and now Romeo Parks picking it up.
There it is again, the Rochester Rhinos using the sideline as the extra defender. Wins the ball back on the throw-in.
See the two substitutes for Rochester, Graf and Wall-Fall, having a conversation about maybe what went wrong, maybe what they could have done better throughout their time on the field. But at this point, they can only watch. Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on SiriusXM FC, Channel 85. Also, don't forget, SiriusXM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and times. Here's a big touch into space as Jalen Brown was trying to get off to the races, but maybe a little bit too anxious and coming off the bench in a 0-0 game in the 80th minute. That's sometimes what can happen.
Yeah, just trying to make a difference. As soon as you come on the pitch and your legs aren't quite warmed up, and poor touch, and over he goes.
Bukimi and Adewale getting tangled up. The referee saw the play as an advantage for Rochester, so we'll play on. Forbes linking up with Bukimi. It's a good ball in. Was he taken down? No is the answer. A number of Rhino fans are asking for a penalty kick. It's not even going to be a corner. It'll be a goal kick for Pittsburgh. And Bob Lilly is irate.
Well, the honest reaction of Forbes there as he gets the return pass is that it wasn't a penalty. He ran back, didn't complain to the official. And you'd hope that he's the type of player that wouldn't complain to the official anyway, but these are soccer players. That probably isn't the case. But that was a good little give and go there, and a fantastic intercept. I think it might have been Adewale or Gomez that made that final challenge. The timing was impeccable, otherwise it would have been a PK.
It was Shannon Gomez on that challenge, and looking back at the replay, he got ball right at the last moment that he could. And now here's Siobhan Walsh. Walsh trying to send it through for Herzog, but Ryan Felix stepping in and cleaning things up for the Rhinos. Less than 10 minutes remaining in the allotted 90 plus stoppage time. Forbes along the sideline for Bukimia. Tergu trying to play the return pass, but snuffed out by Adewale. Now he's Kevin Kerr around the defender, but Felix again. And that's what these center backs, not only for Rochester, but for Pittsburgh, do so well. They are always tuned in to where their outside backs are, where their fullbacks are, and where the pressure's coming from, and how they can be of a service, and how they can come over and help them out.
You're exactly right on the lateral movement of the of the players, the center backs on both teams, is fantastic. So take a look at Bohemia, who fell down on his right shoulder earlier.
And this is the save of the match from Keybank, as Tomas Gomez making that look easy, as Kay Banjo unable to find the back of the net. Neither team has yet, as we're still all tied up at 0-0, but that is your Keybank save of the match. And Bohemia really having some problems with that shoulder, and now it puts Bob Lilly in a tough spot where he might have to make a sub for his sub.
It is a tough spot. You think that he brought Bohemia on because of the different look that he gives his team up top. He took off Graf and put Bohemia on, and the heavy challenge from Victor Soto that earned Soto the yellow card has also earned Bohemia that injured right shoulder.
And Bohemia will receive a little bit more medical attention. And he may be done for the night. And it looks like Bob Lilly is going to make a substitution and not allow any more time to pass playing down a man. And we're still waiting to receive word as to exactly who the player is coming up to replace Bohemia.
Jalen Brown has been waved up top. It's number 8 coming onto the pitch.
And it's going to be Brandon Beresford coming on. And he'll replace Bohemia, so usually a manager's worst nightmare to have to make a substitution for your substitution, as Bohemia injured his shoulder, not able to continue. So now it'll be Brandon Beresford, as it looks like he's going to slide out onto the wing as Jalen Brown was pushed up to that lone striker role as the number 9.
Certainly Brown went up to that center forward role. See if he can unlock this tough Pittsburgh defense.
Here is Brown for Jordan Dover, the Canadian, linking up with Beresford. Good interplay between these two. The ball sent across. It's a great one that skips all the way across the face of goal, but nobody home for the Rhinos to tap it in. Kerr keeping it in play for Pittsburgh. And it's actually extremely well done for the Riverhounds until Siobhan Walsh gives it away. James trying the return pass, but that's cut out. And then the pass intended for Herzog goes awry as well, and it'll go all the way back to Tomas Gomez. But that was probably the best move we've seen from Rochester that still did not even come to a shot on goal.
I think it was probably the best move we've seen from either team. It's certainly from Rochester. Fantastic play down the right flank. A little give and go. The ball was delicious, served across the top of the 6, but everybody had run to the near post. It needed somebody at the back post to tuck it in the back of the net.
Jamal Jack was caught tying his shoe and then realized he had to get involved in the play. Siobhan Walsh through for Corey Herzog. Running with him is Parks. It's for Romeo Parks. Puts the brakes on. Parks still trying to get a shot off. Now it's Herzog blocked in front. Back out for Okai, and his shot goes over the bar. And you can see the looks on Pittsburgh's faces. That says it all. They cannot believe that that went by the wayside. It's another wasted opportunity for the Riverhounds.
Again, it's the want-to of Walsh. He was fouled there, but stayed on his feet long enough to pass the ball to Herzog. In the run of play, I thought Parks put the brakes on. He should have taken the shot. But in the replay, you see there are a lot of white shirts coming back defensively. So credit to Rochester for them snubbing out that shooting opportunity from Parks. But again, just another opportunity goes begging for these two teams. But it's that defensive presence that is there that thwarts the attack. I was going to be really hard on Parks until I saw that replay, because he took that extra touch, and in the run of play and from our angle, it just looked like he had the shooting opportunity, Tyler, and that extra touch took it away from him. But credit to Rochester for getting back, and credit to Parks for keeping possession.
Herzog gets it away to Hollingsworth. Referee says play on. It's for Parks again, but it's out of his reach. A little bit less than 4 minutes remaining. Who will find the breakthrough, if anyone? Forbes. Going across for Tergu. Tergu around a couple defenders. It falls for Brown. The defender goes to ground. He's playing it with his head while he's on the floor. Have you ever seen anything like that? It probably ended up saving a goal.
Fantastic play from Jamal Jack, and literally heads-up play from Jamal Jack. As he slides in, it looked like he may have handled the ball, but he recognizes the situation and just plays it with his head. Could call that it may have been obstruction. Playing the ball on the ground like that would have resulted in an indirect free kick. But he did really well. I mean, it looked like it may have touched his hands, but he did really well not to get called for a handball.
Well, folks, that is your Excelis fear-free moment of the match, and that is what we like to call using your noggin in the game of football. Absolutely superb from Jamal Jack. He may have hit it with his hand when he initially went down, but everything afterwards, he did not give any sort of reason for Jaroslaw Werrell to blow the whistle. Bernardo Forbes is obviously livid, as is Bob Lilly, but full credit to Jamal Jack because that is as good as defending as it gets.
Yeah, you have to give credit to Jamal Jack. I mean, phenomenal play there. Able to not concede the penalty kick. As I say, I mean, there might have been a case for obstruction because he was laying over the ball, not allowing Forbes to take the shot, but an exciting moment in Pittsburgh's box.
This ball is sent in. Going for goal is Beresford. Oh, and it's just over the bar. Oh, it was a great idea, and how clever was it to hit it with the outside of his foot, but it just goes over the crossbar.
The movement by Forbes on the far sideline created the opportunity for the cross to come in. And Beresford so cheekily with the outside of the right foot. Unlucky it just goes over the crossbar. Mitchell, the goalkeeper, ends in the back of his own net.
Well, we were starving for some action for the first 87 minutes or so, and we've had enough for about 3 matches in the past 3 minutes. It has certainly been entertaining here in the dying moments of this match between Rochester and Pittsburgh. And now here come the Riverhounds on the other end, looking to steal all 3 points on the road. Hollingsworth linking up with Danny Earls, who's fresh onto the scene. Parks with a good touch. Parks with the rip. Oh, and what a save from Gomez. How about that? Denying Romeo Parks right at the last.
Beautiful work at the top of the box. Results in the shot. Would have been one of the contenders for goal of the week. It's now one of the contenders for save of the week. Fantastic work from Gomez.
And now here comes Pittsburgh once again. Both teams feeling like they could go on and win it. 4 minutes of stoppage time to be played. Herzog looking to further return pass. Hollingsworth looking for a foul as he gives Beresford a little love tap at the end of that play. Now here's Bernardo Forbes off to the races. Tergu looking for an option. The home crowd urging on the Rhinos here at Capelli Sports Stadium. And Shannon Gomez will see that out. Three minutes to be played. "13 draws between these two teams on the season, the first time that they've met in this 2017 campaign. And the defensive aspect of both of these teams has certainly lived up to the billing. Hollingsworth. Back for Danny Earls. The Irishman sending it all the way over to the right flank, but nobody home for Pittsburgh. Kevin Kerr apologizing to Danny Earls. Poor giveaway from Rochester in their own defensive third. Walsh, the return for Soto. The Brazilian goes out wide for Kerr. Kerr sends it across out of the reach of Felix. Jaylen Brown with some nifty work to keep it for Rochester. Garza waits a moment too long, however, he is fouled.
Give credit to Canado Forbes, number 11, the captain for Rochester Rhinos. Really has led his team. Hasn't been able to obviously breach the goal of Trey Mitchell, the goalkeeper for Pittsburgh, but Forbes has done a really stellar job trying his hardest to find a way to get his team on the score sheet.
Jamal Jack up for the header. Danny Earls catches it with his shoulder, and it falls for Rochester. Canado Forbes linking up with Tergu. Tergu through for Brown. Still Jaylen Brown. Now the ball is sent in. Mitchell off of his line, and he's able to corral it. It was a bit nervy for Pittsburgh as he stumbled going up for the ball, but Trey Mitchell makes sure of it. And a little less than a minute now to play.
So important for him not to bobble that ball. Give up a rebound off of that difficult up and under cross.
One last gasp here for Pittsburgh. It's a good idea from Kerr, trying to find Herzog, who gets on the end of it. Herzog's ball towards the back post, knotted away by Dover momentarily. Parks brings it down beautifully. Back for Hollingsworth. Kerr once more. Chipping it in behind, looking for Walsh, lets it run through. Felix is there. Still Siobhan Walsh, somehow still on the ball. Back for Parks, and now cleared away. Last chance of the match for either team, and it'll stay with Pittsburgh as Kerr helps it along. Hollingsworth was waiting for it. And that's going to do it from Capelli Sports Stadium. These two defensive juggernauts play to a 0-0 draw here in Western New York. Quickly, Matt Stubbington, your thoughts.
Just a great defensive game, some opportunities at the end. Sometimes it takes a little bit of magic to unlock a great defense. Unfortunately, it wasn't the magic that we saw tonight, and neither team had that little bit of luck that they needed either. Well, two great defensive teams.
Well, that's going to do it from Western New York. The final score between Rochester and Pittsburgh is 0-0 from our replay operator, Brad Canfield, our producer, Sharna Yerke, and our director, Jim Clark. I'm Tyler Terran saying so long for Matt Stubbington.